Hey guys, welcome back to the latest episode of the Growing a Dental Practice podcast. I'm your host, Mike Hennon from Patient Boost. In today's episode, I'm joined by Dr Ferhan Ahmed, Principal Dentist of Edinburgh Dental, Implant Trainer and Mentor, and author of the book Being Unstoppable. Welcome to the show, Farhan. Thanks for joining me. How are you today?
Firstly, thank you so much for the invite, Mike. I am very, very good. It's Monday. I've been to the gym. I was up early. I'm ready for the week ahead.
Yes. Are you part of the 5 a.m. club?
Yes, 100%.
Yes, you are.
I'm a big fan of the 5 a.m. get up in the morning. I get so much done. And, I suppose a lot of people ask me, how do you get stuff done? And how are you so full of energy, etc.? And I put a lot of it down to my morning routine. It's key for my ability to really push on in the last sort of 3 years of my career and get so much done. It's been my morning routine, and it's been meticulous and really strict with getting up at 5 and doing a number of things in the morning.
Yeah. So because this is one of the things I wanted to ask you, was like, how do you get so much done? Because like I do feel like my introductions kind of hasn't done you justice, because all the stuff you do and all the things you do. You've just told me you're flying to Brazil like next week, on top of running a practice and stuff. So what does your specific morning routine look like?
So I get up at 5 and I will always go to brush my teeth first in the morning. Then I hydrate myself. And I take some multivitamins, and then I'll kind of chill and put the coffee on, because I need to get the hydration up. I have a hot drink that wakes me up, and then I get ready to go to the gym. And it's really in the gym where, depending on the routine my trainer's got me on, I do a 45-minute hour workout, and that really gets me pumped and ready for the day. And in the gym, I have my AirPods on. I'll be listening to a podcast, audiobook, or I'll be listening to music, depending on what physical activity I'm taking part in. And then other things that I really like to do in the morning that really help me combine and sort of make up my morning routine, I will journal in the morning. So I have an app, a 5-minute journal app on my phone, which I complete. And that looks at sort of what am I grateful for, affirmations, and what I'm going to do to make it a good day. So just some bullet points, 2 to 3 points for each heading, and that's just something that I've got into over the last few years, and I feel really helps. And you can like add in pictures, and then memories come up. So it's just very much journaling. I do like to meditate in the morning, and often I will pray in the morning, as long as I get up early enough, depending on the prayer time. So so a number of things like that are absolutely crucial for me to take part in the morning. And if I get that done, I know it's going to be a good day.
Brilliant, love that. And it's this podcast episode is already packed with value. That's awesome. So tell me about you, Farhan. So kind of, how did we get to this point? What's your background? How did you get into dentistry?
Yeah, so probably the best way to describe myself at the moment is I'm a dentist, a father, a husband, and most of all, I like to be thought as someone that's creating, always doing things. And I have a primary focus at this present moment in my time on education around implant dentistry, where I help clinicians upskill into full arch implant dentistry. And I'm the principal dentist at Edinburgh Dental, so I'm running a practice, and we're based in Edinburgh. But really, how have I got to this point? Well, if I look back, it's my father, watching him really grind while I was growing up, and then me helping him. My dad's a shopkeeper. He's a migrant. He came over to the UK at the age of 10 or 11, and times were tough for him, where he was at school for 4 or 5 years and then left school because he had to provide for the family and send money back home. But growing up, I was not wanting for anything. I was very fortunate. I'm one of 5 kids, and as a child from a migrant family, there was a real onus and a push towards education. And I really just remember growing up being told, study, study, study. It was constant. And not that it was, I didn't feel it put me off, but there was a real onus. I knew it meant everything to my parents that I studied, and I studied hard. And my dad, tried to absolutely provide the most for not just me, but for all my siblings. And I did study. I was that child that wanted my parents' approval. As a child, there's two things you do to get your parents' attention. You're either a pain in the bum, and you get attention that way where you're mischievous, or you're sort of push yourself to achieve accolades, may it be in sport or education or just helping around the house or wherever it is. You want your parents' approval. And for me, it was very much, I helped my dad in the shop, I studied hard, I was into sport. Everything I did was seeking their approval. And in a way, it still is today, where I work hard and I love to tell my parents of my achievements, because I know it means so much to them, and it allows them to sort of get that confirmation that all the hard work that they put in for not just me, but my other siblings, it was worth it. So, when it came to sort of deciding what I was going to do, I didn't really have a choice, in the fact that coming from an Asian background, you're either a dentist, doctor, or a failure. And I didn't want to conform, because certainly there was a push, not openly, but subliminally, that if you did well, you were going to be a doctor. And I wanted to kind of rebel against that a little, so I chose dentistry, and that was really why. And I didn't have the best experiences as a child going to the doctor. It was just this environment that was dusty, old. My GP was this sort of overweight, slumped. He had a bald head, and he was awfully grumpy. And I remember the medical receptionist being so unhelpful and miserable, on the phone and in person. So that stereotype of the medical receptionist and the GP did put me off. And I remember going to the GP with my mum as a child, if it was just for a common cold, or if it was something like a vaccination because we were traveling abroad. So that put me off. And then I remember I did some work experience at the local dentist next to my dad's newsagents in Lanarkshire. And I remember his name, Dr. McDonald. I remember we went round the back, up the stairs, and he was a really nice man, and he knew my dad. And I suppose I had a positive experience. I was like, why not? I'll have doctor as a title. My parents are pleased, and it's a good career still within the health profession. But I didn't do much more research than that. And it's nowhere near as competitive to get into as it is now. So back in the year 2000, when I started dental school, it was much simpler to get in. Although I did well at school, it was much simpler. Now you've got to be like the creme de la creme, the cream of the crop to get in. But the other real bonus was that there was 8 other boys and girls from my year at school, and we all went to Glasgow Dental School. So we had a really nice group, and some of my best friends and still my closest friends today, we all did dentistry together. So that was phenomenal, and my parents were happy. I wasn't moving away. I was still going to be living at home, because that was a big and and I was going to be a dentist. So dentistry was fun. It was good. Got through. I mean, it was certainly tough at the start, but then you sort of follow your environment and the people you're around. And for me, it was all about, I wanted that security for a couple of years. So I did this, they called it like a general professional training program. It's called something else now, Foundation, which gave me a wide range of experience in different disciplines within dentistry. So I obviously did general practice. Then I did 6 months in community, and I did 6 months in hospital with a maxillofacial unit. And it was really that time as a senior house officer in a maxillofacial unit that I was inspired. I was at awe of the clinicians around me, these surgeons who were dual qualified, doing really crazy big surgery, and I thought, I want to be like them. And so for me to follow in their footsteps, I had to go and back to university and train as a medical doctor. And so I did another year just to cement in my mind that I want this and I want to do this. So I did another year as a senior house officer, gained more experience, and applied for medical school. I applied for a number of universities, didn't get anywhere apart from Liverpool. So off I went, left home to the dismay of my mum and dad, and I bought a flat down in Liverpool. and I went and I did a graduate program in medicine at Liverpool University, and I had an amazing time, met so many wonderful people and great experiences. But what that taught me was that the kind of studying and the constant exams continuously, you don't overthink it, and you shouldn't be thinking, oh, 4 years. I was just thinking week to week, how I was going to fund to pay my mortgage, how I was going to fund to pay my fees, how I was going to fund myself to have some sort of social life and pay the bills. And I would do nights at the local hospitals. I would do weekends on call as a maxillofacial SHO. So it was just grinding constantly. So studying during the day, being at lectures of various things at hospital clinics, etc. And then at nights or at weekends, I'd be traveling anywhere north. So I'd do on-calls in the west and the east of Scotland, in and around Liverpool. I would just do on-call shifts just to make ends meet. And times were tough. Times were tough because of obviously what I'd taken on, but also from a financial point of view, where there was times I remember having to borrow money off family just to get by, taking out student loans. But I'd never, because it was quite interesting. Yesterday I was speaking to a dentist and I said, well, you need to cut down your days to get experience and upskill in oral surgery, sedation, etc. I said, you need to go and shadow people. You come into my clinic, see what I do, learn from me, etc. But you need to take a hit. And I said it was easy for me because I remember being an SHO or as a VT, your salary is very much capped, but then you're able to earn a lot more as a dentist when you leave and start working as an associate or as a principal dentist. But I never experienced that. I was always within the NHS system, and my salary was very much capped in the first, second, and third year. And then I went into medical school, and it was a real struggle. So it was very easy for me to take a natural step into different educational ventures because I didn't know any different. And I've never been in the position of earning really good money and having a comfortable life, having a car and all these things. I was always pretty skint. My first car, my dad bought me. It was a Toyota Corolla. My dad, and I drove that all the way through from VT up until my daughter was born. So I had it for 11 years. It was a Toyota Corolla, black, and I got about £700 when I traded in and I upgraded to a more of a
Was it a sad day when you had to say goodbye to the Corolla?
Yeah, it was really sad because it was the sentimental value in it, and my dad had bought me, and I remember going to buy it, and then my dad goes, "Well, what do you think?" I was like, "It's all right." Dad, it's fine. It was about £11,000 and 1.4 petrol, and I was like, "It's okay." Oh, and then he goes, does the deal with the guy, whatever, and he goes, "Oh, that's your car," and I was like, "What? Mine?" I don't really have a choice. So 140,000 miles on that over 11 years, and it took me up and down. It was really reliable. Mm-hmm. So that was yeah, absolutely, it was sentimental.
Yeah, that's a nice story though. That's good.
Yeah. So I never really had much, and then after I finished medical school, it was then being a junior doctor for a couple of years, and again, salaries capped, and so it was interesting speaking to this dentist yesterday, and I've thought about this before in the past, but it made me realize, because he found it really difficult. Oh, I'm going to have to take a wage cut, and it's not going to make a difference to his life because he does well, he's got a comfortable home, etc. But it's hard to take a wage cut when you know that you could work another day and make it. But what I was trying to get into his mind is you need to invest in yourself, and you reap the rewards down the line. And it's like the Chinese bamboo tree. And if you've ever heard the story of the Chinese bamboo tree, a seed's planted, and so in China, the bamboo tree seed's planted, and every day the farmer has to water this and give it nutrients every day. And the Chinese bamboo tree doesn't grow very much at all for the first 6 years. And then at 6 years, that's when it shoots up 6 feet. And so the question and the moral of the story is it that it shot up at 6 years? Or was it that constant nourishment and feeding over the 6 years that the farmer did that led to that point in time when it was able to shoot up 6 feet? And what lesson we should take from the Chinese bamboo tree is that we have to put the effort in day in, day out, work on ourselves, invest in ourselves. But we may not see that reward today. But oh my God, I see the reward of taking a hit as a senior house officer, going back to medical school and working hard, night shifts, weekends on call, sacrificing a social life, then coming out and then doing 2 years as a junior doctor. I was into my 30s and my peers were on very comfortable income, but I was on a salary as an NHS doctor. Not to say that's not enough to get by, absolutely, but amongst my peers that were dentists, it was considerably less. But now, sort of, I left hospital training back in 2014. So 8 years on, I certainly reap the rewards of all those efforts that I put in from 2005 to 2014, and financially, I see that day in, day out, and it's that effort, those sleepless nights, those studying for exams, those weekends on call, in working in a hospital allows me to do the work I do day in, day out. And the last thing I just want to point out is that often people ask me why medicine. Well, yeah, I want to do medicine because I've always been one to push myself, keep going. And I think a part of me, that's again trying to seek approval from my parents and my dad pushing me to keep going, doing more. And I'm like, yeah, Dad, I've now done medicine, or Dad, I've now done my postgraduate exams. I've got this letter after my name, because that's the way I've been brought up. That was my environment. That's who I am. And I did medicine not with the sheer focus of becoming a maxillofacial surgeon. I did medicine because I wanted to learn more and be more in myself. And the fact that it would just, I felt it's great to be able to seek knowledge. Also with the view that if I wanted to, I'd have the choice. And so what happened when I was sort of coming towards the end of medical school, and then as a junior doctor, I thought, this isn't for me. I felt a career in maxillofacial surgery, I would lack autonomy, lack control, the way training worked. I just felt I would lose freedom and that ability to really dictate how my career was going to pan out. And I was fortunate that I have some friends that were building a group of dental practices, and I was able to transition into a group of dental practices as a partner. And then one thing led to another. We had 6 or 7 practices at one point, and it was only sort of last week so we built those 6, 7 practices over a short period of time. It was only last week that we sold our last practice as a partnership. And out of the 6 practices, I bought my partners out, and that's the Edinburgh Dental. And I wanted to do that.
Amazing.
Yeah, I wanted to do that because it's nice to have your own place. And I've been an associate in many practices, but nothing beats having ownership and having that control and that autonomy and that decision-making power to take a practice in a certain direction and lead a team. And I've always been in leadership roles to some degree as a dentist, and then as a doctor, and then as a practice partner. And I didn't want to lose that. I wanted a base. I wanted the ability to run courses out of a specific site. So it was really easy for me just to go to 2 of my partners, or one's a family member and one's a dear friend. It was easy for me to say, look, can I just buy you out? And I'll take the practice at Edinburgh. And then we sold the rest. And that's where we are at this present moment in time, where I'm the practice principal at Edinburgh Dental, and I spend about a day and a half there a week in amongst all my teaching and training around the UK.
Amazing. I could listen to you all day. That journey is fascinating. The fact that you've done both, like, there can't be that many people that are dual qualified. That must be, is that quite a unique group?
Yeah, so I suppose in my year at dental school, there was maybe 3 or 4 people, 3 people that went on and then after dentistry did medicine. It's not commonly a path that people take, but you'd be surprised. I mean, I know a number of people, obviously, the sort of company that I'm associated with in my field of work. But no, it's not common. And the fact is, I spent 9 years at university,
Yeah.
you know, a huge amount of fees and commitment in time and exams. Most people are like, well, 5 years, that's enough. Let's go out there and work. But it doesn't need to be, you know, doing another degree. You know, maybe that's a bit extreme, but I always encourage people to just continue that journey of learning and investing in yourself, learning new skills. And it's Warren Buffett that says the only thing that can't be taxed is your skill and your knowledge. And there's so much to be said about upskilling and learning continuously. And the other thing that I, over the last few, have really thought about, and when I've reflected on my life and the journey and the path that I've taken, is that I feel my life is it can be split into chapters. Obviously, growing up in school, then doing dentistry, then doing medicine, and then being a partner, and then really upskilling around oral surgery, sedation, and then naturally progressing into implants, doing more complex implant work, then really focusing on the teaching side of implants. So that's a big part of my life now, and then being a practice principal. And I feel that I need these events or change in my life constantly, because that's who I am. You know, I need this. And so I'm always looking for what next, what can I do? What new skill can I learn? And because otherwise I think I'd just get bored and I'd stagnate and I'd get really frustrated. And that's habitual. I feel that that's just developed over time because I never really stopped, because I didn't let myself become comfortable. So there's a really good book by James Clear, Atomic Habits. And what you want to do is get into the habit of, you know, getting up early, for instance. If you do it constantly, it takes about 6 weeks and it'll be a habit. And so when you don't do it, you just won't feel right. It's that habit of running every day, which I will do. I mean, my knee's not great at the moment, but I try to run every single day, and it's just a habit. And so when I'm not doing it, I don't feel right. And then it's the same in the sort of professional side of things, where I'm always pushing myself to try things, put new courses out, push the education side, mentor as many people as I possibly can, learning different things. And that's just a habit now, where if I'm not doing something new, then I'm like, what's going on? And I'll find something new to start and get involved in.
Yeah, I bet you're never sitting down. I bet you're always moving.
And yeah, and I think that's really important. And it's hard. I get it. It's hard because I've been there. I wasn't always like this. I've been there where I was overweight and struggling with my weight. And I suppose part of the reason why I'm so fixated about keeping fit in the gym and my nutrition and body image and stuff, because I was fat. I was teased at school for it. And I've been there where my weight's sort of slipped and I've got a bit heavier. And then you get into a sort of rut, and then to get back on the treadmill, it's really difficult. So the key is, don't ever get off.
Never get off the treadmill. That is a fantastic saying. I love that. I'm going to put that in your show notes. But no, that's fantastic. So before we dig more into your experience as a practice owner, I'd love to talk about your associate years. So, well, first of all, I'm trying to figure out when your associate years were, because obviously you got plenty of time at university. So how many years were you an associate for? Or
I suppose I was always I was an associate for up until about 3 or 4 years ago, because I never worked in one place. And again, I was having this conversation with this young dentist yesterday, and basically he said to me, "I want to be like you," and that's humbling, right? And I was like, "Really?" But in terms of my path, I want to be able to be confident to do the level of work you do, and which is quite nice, because it made me sort of dissect how it is that I got to this stage. And I said, it's hard when you just work in 1 or 2 places. And what I did was I live in Glasgow. I had an associate position in Yorkshire, and every 2 weeks I'd travel down for 2 days. I'd stay overnight, work the day, stay 2 nights, night before work, stay another night, work the whole day, and then get back up the road. And what that gave me was experience, because I went where the work was. and I didn't let geography get in the way. It wasn't a barrier. I wanted to upskill in implant, so I traveled. Whoever was willing to give me the work to upskill into implant dentistry, I went there, and I got a job. So I was an associate up until 3-4 years ago, really sort of pre-pandemic, and then the education things really took off. So I gave up a lot of the majority of associate positions. And what did I learn as an associate? Well, the first thing I learned is naturally working in a team, working in various different teams, and respecting the different environments. Although as a practice principal in my own clinics, I could see it from both points of view, where I'm a practice principal and I'm an associate. So I think that's important, having two different views. And what that taught me was that I appreciated that ultimately dentistry is a business, and I'm there to generate income. If I generate income for the practice, I'm generating income for myself. And I was constantly very aware of my diary, keeping it busy. I was making money, the practice was making money. I always work in a practice as if it's my own. I'd always treat it as if it's my own. I think that's really important. And I think that kind of stems from my dad. He worked in a partnership in his newsagent, and he would always make us aware of being very conscious of the fact that it wasn't just ours. We had to respect that someone else owned the practice, and we couldn't just do what we wanted. And I would always have that view when I went to another practice as an associate, where I would be very conscious not to waste materials, waste time, make sure the diary was full, if it was forward thinking, and be conscious of the time spent on doing a particular procedure so it was profitable for everybody involved. So I certainly had very much a business head on as an associate. So and the more you do that, the more you become aware of it. But I think the big thing that I learned as an associate and working in so many different practices, I mean, hundreds of dental practices I've been in and out. I've been, I've traveled from as south as Exeter and as north as Oban, in different dental practices around the country. And you get to see a wide range of facilities, teams, the capabilities of the team, the services they offer. And wherever I am, I'm always been able to pick up something, may it be good or bad, how someone markets, how their team is, how a principal speaks to the staff, how a certain clinician interacts with patients, everything. I pick up so much because I'm always looking, watching, observing. And that's what I learned as an associate, really. And that's been invaluable to now have my own clinic by myself and to sort of lead that forward.
Yeah, the fact that you've been in like hundreds of different practices, yeah, that must be a unique experience, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It certainly is, because every week I'll be in different places. I have somewhere in the region of 150 different implant dentists within my different teaching cohorts, and at any one time I'm mentoring 10 to 20 of these dentists, and they're always developing in their journey. So they may need me for a few cases, and then they move on, and then someone else is coming in that needs me. And so, yeah, I'm visiting so many different practices all the time.
Are you making notes? So you mentioned that you're picking up things here and there. Have you got a little diary, like a little black book or
actually,
little red book?
that's a good idea. I don't specifically have a diary, but I'm very lucky to have a great assistant, Cassia, who, if I pick up anything, and then I have a great team that looks after my practice, if I pick up anything, I'll take a picture, I'll send it to them, or I'll leave them a voice note. For instance, I'll give you an example. We sell consumables in my practice at Edinburgh Dental, and we've been looking for a display stand to advertise the TP brushes and whatnot. So I was in a practice in Bristol last week, and they had a really nice glass shelf at the desk. I took a picture of it and I sent it to my manager. I says, "We need this. Where do you think they got it from?" And that was it. So yeah, always picking up things like that. And if I see something I like from a marketing point of view, or I like something from so I'm looking to upgrade the surgeries in my clinic at the moment. So if I'm in a practice and I really like the color or the setup or the chair, I'll take pictures and I'll send it on. So I'm always picking up things. I mean, really interesting thing I picked up. I was in a practice in Newcastle, and he had the most amazing ceiling lights. it was such a bright room. And then he started going on and telling me about these lights and things, and I took notes. I was like, when we upgrade our surgeries, these are the lights we need. So if
These are
I
the ones I
was
want.
in places,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to pick these great things up.
Yeah, because I just love the idea that you could be like, right, what I learned from dentistry over like 30 years, like obviously when you're like late down in life, and you've got all these like little anecdotes, and but obviously now you've got like how to sort of fit out a dental surgery as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, thing is, there's a lot to be said for documenting all aspects of your life. So I do a lot of documenting. So when I do Zoom teaching Zooms, it's all recorded. And that's great because I can show the clinicians I work with how far they've come, and even for myself and how I've developed confidence in the teaching element over the last 2 to 3 years, because it's a whole different level from when I started 3 years ago, because, well, it's much more natural and normal for me. But it's really nice to document your journey in every aspect. And again, just like that, it'd be good to maybe just do even if it's a voice note, a reflection of what I saw during my visit to Bristol today, and then what I saw from my visit to Oban today, etc. Yeah, absolutely. I think that'd be quite good. Maybe I'll give that.
Yeah. I'll be well up for listening to or reading that. That's great. So you've already mentioned kind of how you got into practice ownership. So you sort of had the opportunity to sort of join some friends and family, and you explained kind of the reasons, why you wanted to be a practice owner. What did you learn during those first couple of years as a practice owner or as a partner in a practice? Like, what were the key lessons?
It's tough. It's really tough. It's really tough to make it work. And that was sort of trying to build a mini corporate, in essence, 6-7 practices, and make it profitable. It was tough, really, really challenging. And that's a lot to do with really the effort and the commitment from our part, trying to build and give it the time when you've got such busy lives doing other things, like me progressing, trying to push myself and progress clinically. I really realized that it takes a lot of time, effort, hard work to build a practice to a certain level and make it working well, getting an efficient team, and ultimately making it profitable. May it be that you just want a career as a dentist and working in a practice and having a business that's profitable, or with a view to building a practice and then selling it off to a corporate, or building multiple practices into a mini corporate and then selling it off for a higher valuation. I learned that it's really, really tough, and I have no appetite to build a group of practices. I'm just really comfortable in running my own clinic and trying to make it the best that it can be, because I feel I have much more control over that rather than trying to scale up. I think scaling up, things naturally become diluted, and I felt that's what I really saw as a practice partner over a number of years, and I didn't like that. And I think that's really my personality and the person I am, where I'm meticulous about protocols and how things are delivered, and if they're not meeting a standard that I would want for myself or my family member or a friend, I'm not happy, and that really eats up in me. And I think that's hard to do in a mass scale. Of course, it's possible, because I mean, I work in a corporate. For instance, I work for a Portman practice, and I'm continually going to continue to work in a practice in Oban, which has just recently been bought over by another corporate. And certainly, I mean, Portman, I've been involved with them for a year or so, and they do it well. It's pretty seamless, and they do it well. And then even out with dentistry, if you think of McDonald's, global food chain, fast food service, it's pretty standardized, so it can be done. But I think for me to try to do that, I can either be a clinician that's pushing myself to help other clinicians upskill, so really education focused, or I can be someone that's trying to really upscale a business. I think it's really hard. Well, it was for me, really hard to do both. And then I had to make a decision. What do I love doing more? What is much more natural for me? And where does my passion really lie at this moment in time? And that's education.
Yeah, excellent. You kind of got to do what you enjoy doing, because you spend a lot of time doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it's effortless. And now I can really say what I do day in, day out doesn't feel like work. And I feel fortunate that I can say that.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. So is there anything that you wish you'd known before becoming a practice owner, other than knowing that it's extremely tough?
No, I think certainly current times are even more difficult post-pandemic. Look, the real challenges of practice at this moment in time that weren't present a number of years back pre-COVID was the lack of workforce, Brexit. I don't dentists. It's challenging to get a clinical staff. It's challenging to get nursing staff. Cost of living has gone up. Naturally, we're having to pay more to our staff. We're having to charge more. So there's a bit of a vicious cycle ongoing at this moment, and it's not found a level that it's going to stabilize yet, because raw materials have gone up, electricity, gas has gone up, and it's going to affect everybody. And naturally, as a business, the cost of the service has to go up. So I think this is a bit of a difficult time for dentistry, although dentistry was a real winner out of COVID. I think now, as the economy takes a hit and we really see the impact of all this money printing, the sort of side effects of the war in Ukraine and between Ukraine and Russia, all sorts of political turmoil, Brexit becoming more sort of settling in, I think it's going to be more challenging going forward. However, one thing we must be confident about and reassured by, that even during the pandemic, during unprecedented times as COVID, the health sector was solid. Health sector was solid. So that should give us comfort. So yeah, it's challenging. It's always challenging. Life's not easy. It's ups and downs, and there's a battle around the corner after you've got out of the last battle. But that's life. That's okay. And the focus isn't on the challenges. The focus is always on the positives. I'm very fortunate that so many people trust me with their education. I'm fortunate that I've got a great team in my practice in Edinburgh. And I've got a lot of patients and referring dentists who trust me with their patients, and patients who trust me to look after them. So yeah, wonderful things. And yeah, there are challenges, but certainly the focus is always on the positives. And without challenges, it would just be boring.
Yeah, exactly. Who wants a boring life?
Yeah.
So we've talked about you being a clinician. We've talked about you being a mentor and trainer. We haven't touched on the fact that you've also had time to write a book. So
Yeah.
tell me about the book. Why did you name it what you named it? What inspired you to create it? Like, what was the sort of the thought behind that?
So Mike, there's a famous saying that says, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And it was just circumstances where I met a lovely lady called Dia, and her sort of job or skill was to help people write a book. And I thought, yeah, I could do that. And then one thing led to another, and I wrote a book. I had time. I wrote the book during the pandemic when we were sat at home, and she really helped me along that whole journey where I was able to write a book. And it's a sort of a dissection of what I felt makes a clinician excel out with the norm, which is degree, a postgraduate qualification, skill level, etc. What is it that makes a clinician really push on and become unstoppable? And it's not, the title was sort of dreamt up, not saying I'm unstoppable, although I'd like to be that way. It's about you becoming unstoppable and how I feel out with the skill set, what's really important and what makes a great clinician. And it's not just dentists, it's medics, it's anybody involved in the healthcare sector. And I don't feel enough onus is put on this, especially at dental school, that having the right mindset, being a people person, being a leader, having team working skills, being a really amazing communicator, having that growth mindset is actually more important than being good at doing a composite, or more important than taking a tooth out. These skills that are not taught at dental school are more important. And I've really got into this over the last sort of 5 years in terms of personal development and sort of bettering my own self, and it's helped me immensely. But I also look back on my life and growing up and being able to work in my dad's shop and speak to strangers customers at 8 and 9 years old. And that taught me so much. And then constantly having a job growing up, if it was the bank, if it was a department store, if it was a clothes chain, a KFC, all sorts of different jobs, working in teams, being a leader within teams, those skills, those lessons have made me the person I am, that have allowed me to really develop as a clinician. Yes, the dental school was important, VT was important, doing that course was really important, but the foundation was built growing up, working in a team, being a leader within teams, being able to communicate, and having the right mindset. And I feel if you, along with focusing and upskilling in different things within dentistry, devote a good chunk of your time to being a better communicator, better leader, team worker, develop that solid resilience, grit, growth mindset, you will excel beyond your wildest dreams. And I reap those rewards today, where I'm in a position where I pinch myself at times, like where I am and what I'm able to do and the people that call on me. And from a financial point of view, and I don't hide that, I'm very, very fortunate. And I owe it a lot to my mindset and my ability to get on with people and be adaptable and not feel that I need to, sort of cause a ruckus, and get my opinion across, and be respectful of others' opinions and be a good listener and know when to talk and how to articulate myself, etc. So yeah, I think it's really important. It's just my views on that aspect, and it's just an introduction. And there's a world of phenomenal information out there, and I encourage you to go out there and seek developing yourself from that point of view, because it won't be instant, but you will reap those rewards. Having a solid growth mindset and having resilience and grit, you become unstoppable if you've got that, for sure. I promise you.
Fantastic. And not only that, Ferhan, it's also the proceeds of the book are also helping a cause close to your heart.
Yes, that's true. So it's always important to give back. I think it was Gandhi that said the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. So back in 2014, a group of my friends based in Glasgow, dentists, set up a charity called Dental Aid Network. Been very fortunate over pre-COVID going on a number of charitable aid trips where we do dentistry on children, provide basic aid. We've been to Kashmir, we've been to Palestine, we've been to Gambia, we've been to Greece, there's been a team out to Jordan and Lebanon, refugee camps. So it's being able to do that, really, it brings you back home and makes you more appreciative of what you have. And it's not a holiday, it's not a getaway, but what it is a holiday for the soul, where you're able to give back and the skill that you have, which is a true blessing, and help others. And it's not for a financial gain. It's just you've taken your time up, which is the most valuable asset that each one of us have. You've given it up. You've left your family behind. You've gone to a different country, and you're just giving. And you learn so much. You're amongst like-minded people. And if you've not done it before, I encourage you to do it. It's just incredible. And so what I was hoping to do with the proceeds of the book was to build a dental clinic, a charitable dental clinic in Kashmir, as part of associated with Dental Aid Network, just to give back. So it was something that was continuous. So I've sold around 1,000 copies. I have to sell another 9,000 copies. But I have a strong belief that I will get there and we will build this clinic in Kashmir.
Yeah, fantastic. I will include a link to the book in the show notes. So if you're listening to this, please go and grab the book. Not only will you learn a ton, but you'll be helping people over in Kashmir. So that's fantastic. Right. So we've sort of heard about your story, where you're at now. This podcast is kind of aimed primarily at anyone that's sort of thinking about starting a practice or has just brought a practice and they're suddenly thinking, oh, what do I do now? Although hopefully they have a plan. But from your experience, what is your number one piece of advice for anyone thinking about doing what you've done and starting your practice or buying your practice?
I think the most important thing is to not give up. Like, for instance, this morning I was driving my kids to school, and we always do some affirmations in the morning in the car when I take them to school. And I always say to them, we never give up. And they repeat after me, and I get them to do it louder. And that's it. It's that attitude not to give up and to keep pushing yourself, learn the lessons, and move on. And it's reframing the challenges that you face and taking the lessons from them and moving forward. And I think that's absolutely crucial. There will be tough times, may it be education that you're involved in, where you're studying. Managing professional, personal is always challenging. I have 2 young kids. I'm married. It's challenging, but you just keep going, and you've got to have that resilience to just push on, learn the lessons, move forward, and take that on. And then it's the same in dental practice. It's tough, when I'm doing big cases and I might be down in London and I get a call about an issue in the practice, and I also have to be the leader and sort of manage that. Yeah, I've got a great team, but there are some things that do need to go through me, and I see things going on in the WhatsApp chat. You just got to deal with it all, and you just need to have that stable temperament where you're able to manage a number of things all at the same time. And the one thing that gives me a lot of comfort is that if that's terrible, I forgot. Steve Jobs, for instance, take Steve Jobs. If he can build multiple multi-billion-dollar companies, Pixar, Apple, lead people, and what he used to say was he's not playing an instrument, he's the conductor of an orchestra. And if people like that and Jeff Bezos can make $1 million a second, then I'm capable of a lot more than I'm doing right now. If there's these people around us, and I mean, I read a few autobiographies, Phil Knight, Shoe Dog, about the Nike journey. There's a guy that's the CEO of Walt Disney. And these individuals give me inspiration that there's a lot more in me, that I have a lot of untapped potential, and I'm always trying to push myself to see what I can achieve. And we should all have that outlook where we're trying to push ourselves to unleash what we have within us, because ultimately, I don't think we ever fully realize what we're capable of. But I think one of our responsibilities is to see, to investigate, to discover what are we actually capable of. And certainly you can manage multiple businesses or multiple fingers in different pies. You can do it all at the same time, and don't let anybody tell you can't. Right? Never let anybody tell you can't. Of course you can. You just need to take your time and manage it. Bring structure in your life. But there's turmoil everywhere. We're all firefighting, and you've got to remember that it's not hunky-dory. It may appear that way in social media, etc., that everyone's living their wonderful life. Nonsense. It's not true. I work with so many tens and tens, hundreds of dentists, hundreds of practices. Everyone's got challenges. It's not hunky-dory everywhere, but it's that ability to just keep the temperament right, be resilient, learn from mistakes, and push on, and just grind every day. And you reap the rewards.
Yeah, never give up, grind. Fantastic advice. You've dropped some really great quotes from some really great people. You've made some great book recommendations as well. So, Ferhan, thank you so much for your time today.
No, pleasure,
It has been fantastic. I've learned a lot. I need to get a copy of the book as well, so I need to get a link to the book. But if people are interested in following you, or they're interested in your implant courses, how can they contact you?
Yeah, so thanks a lot, Mike. So you can buy the book on Amazon, Being Unstoppable, The Mindset of a Great Clinician. So it's available as a hardback and to download on Kindle. And to find more about me, I'm on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, and it's Dr Ferhan Ahmed. And my website, where you'll learn more about me and my courses, is www.drferhanahmed.com.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Ferhan, again, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. And I will talk to you very soon.
Thanks, Mike. Cheers.